Hey, hey, don't miss the play. Flurry Sports will save your day. Cracking jokes with sports insight. Zach and Jake, they get it right. Fuck yeah.
What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the Flurry Sports Podcast. Not sure what that was. As you can see, solo dolo tonight. If you're not watching, definitely go to the Flurry Sports YouTube channel or my Twitter or Twitch, or I believe we're on Facebook. No, not on Facebook right now. But expect a shorter show today. Jake is off doing some Secret Service stuff, I'm sure. He's holding out after the votes, right? We just got done with voting. Hopefully you all voted for us to win best podcast. How could you not with the way that just started? Luke, what's up? But he's holding out. So Volume 1 awards us the award that we rightfully won, right? He'll be back next week. He's not going to wait until Volume 1 announces because, let's be honest, Volume 1 takes like 2 months to count electronic awards or electronic votes. So now he'll be back next week. Shorter show today. I got a few things. So we will go over our NFL headlines. We do got the college football bracket, and we do have 3 interesting things from the NFL that I researched deeply about 10 minutes ago that, they all piqued my interest. And we got Luke in the chat dropping questions such as, where is the Shadur bad guy in the chat, the guy who usually joins us every single Monday night, and you also could join us Monday night. We usually go live it's usually around 5:30 Central, 5:30 to 6 p.m. Central on the Flurry Sports YouTube channel. About an hour early today, so we'll see if the Shadur and Deshaun Watson defenders will come out. And usually they do not like to show their face for whatever reason. They like to show themselves in the Flurry Sports YouTube chat. And you could join them as well and give them a piece of your mind, like Luke is looking to do. Luke's big dogging it. Luke's on the porch just barking at him right now. But let's talk first quickly about the college football playoff bracket, because Jake spent a lot of time talking about this the past couple of weeks and what we wanted to happen. Like we said last week, we were all Duke football fans just because we wanted to see chaos happen. Exactly what we said for the reason why we wanted Duke to win happened. Duke won. Duke beat Virginia. And guess who's pissing and moaning and pouting and whining? The pretentious little bitches of Notre Dame. And I'm not saying they don't have the right to be upset. If I missed the playoffs, I would be upset too. However, they feel they are owed the playoff spot, and that's where I have an issue. Like, they can be upset. I'm upset Wisconsin didn't make it. Do I think Wisconsin was owed a spot? No. So Notre Dame should be upset. And yes, it's a little scummy. It's a little bad. It's stupid that they were ranked ahead of teams that jumped them without anything bad happening. Are the rankings bad? Yes, the rankings are bad. But the final result, I think, for the most part, is what we want. And for the people who are the college football elitists, I will say, that are upset that we have a JMU and Tulane in here, saying this isn't what it's about. It's about getting the best 12 teams. We'll see if if we're saying that Ole Miss better beat Tulane. And by the way, they better cover the spread, which I think is 20 points. I understand it looks super lopsided. It looks super bad. But Tulane has a matchup against a team without a coach, without a lot of offensive staff, I think, without a strength coach. So Ole Miss better beat Tulane, and they better beat them by 20 points. Otherwise, you have nothing to complain about. And Oregon lost last year in their first game of the playoff, I believe, after the bye. Don't let JMU beat you. Don't even let JMU keep it close, because you are saying these two teams do not deserve a spot. And what I'm saying is we need to have these smaller schools in here, because what would be better, in my opinion, than one of these teams going on a run, especially with NIL not fully making it even across the board, right? But I feel like it's much easier for teams like that to rebuild quickly, for teams like that to recruit and pay some of these players to come in. I think it's great for college football. I think it's great for the sport. And if one of these teams goes on a run in a March Madness-esque run, that's great for the sport too. I think that would be electric. I think that would be legendary. I think that would be awesome. And hell, if Tulane somehow does it, if they get past Georgia, if they get past Ole Miss, if they get past anybody here, that would be incredible. The people saying Tulane should not be in there are the same people who are seeing St. Peter's go to the Elite Eight. Yeah, exactly. It completely true. Like, it's so stupid. I understand that you want Notre Dame in there. You want Texas in there. You want some of these other schools, Vanderbilt in there. Whatever. But I mean, to be completely honest, Notre Dame's independent. They are not in a conference, so obviously they don't get that automatic bid until next year, supposedly. How bullshit is this? If Notre Dame finishes the year in the top 12 rankings, and it must be the college football playoff rankings, which we already this year decided are rigged and bad and not good. So I'm not sure why this is the deciding thing. But if they are in the top 12, they get an automatic bid in the exact same way that conference winners get, which I think is ridiculous and stupid. If there's an independent team that does not run the table and does not go undefeated, there's absolutely no reason why they should be in the playoff. No reason. Join a conference. Join a conference. If they had 2 losses and were in the Big Ten, guess what? They're in. Great. That's not the case here. That's so stupid. And Notre Dame, go to church and pray on it, man. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you feel like you're owed. And then immediately, they didn't even take a day. Immediately, they say, you know what? We're not even playing bowl games. You know what? If we can't play in the playoff, we're not playing bowl games. You sound weak. You sound stupid. And I have people telling me that they made a good decision because they're going to have players sit out. Why is that my problem? If their players are giving up and stopping and being soft and shit like that, why does that matter? Why does that matter? Then looks like this is deserved. It looks like they got the rankings correct because they're not even going to be able to play. In my opinion, that's how that goes. Like, if they wanted to prove people wrong that they deserve to be in the playoffs and, correct the record, do the UCF national champions thing of years past, play your bowl game, do what Georgia did to, who was it? Florida State a few years ago, and just destroy them. Just destroy them. And then, you know what? Everyone will say, you know what? Maybe we should expand to 16. You know what? Maybe we should have let them in. We were wrong. But right now, no one's saying we're wrong. They shouldn't, at least. Everything looks correct. That's point one. Point two, for all these schools that are bowing out and opting not to go to the bowl games, they are getting fined heavily. I think it's fined by their conference because you have to have a certain number of schools or whatever in the bowl games or whatever. So if a school opts out of a bowl game, they get fined $500,000, which I think that's insane. That's insane. And who should be paying that? The schools are paying it. And I'm not saying schools have too much money, or I'm not saying they don't have enough money. They have plenty of money. They have too much money. However, in my opinion, if a school like Notre Dame gets fined $500,000 because supposedly they have 20 players who are not going to be playing in the game, you know who should be paying that fine? The players, right? Is that a bad take? If the players are the ones saying we're not going to play, and these players are making millions of dollars and actively choosing not to go and do their job and play, they're getting paid to not play. They should be the ones forfeiting their paychecks. So they should be the ones paying up for this $500,000. In a similar vein, we have a coach leaving a school. I think this is the case for Kansas State. I think for another school, they left their school, so they're going to go. They're not coaching, right? In the same way, Lane Kiffin, they're not coaching their bowl game. They leave. They should be the ones to pay this fine. Like, at this point, like, why are the schools paying for this $500,000 fine? It's absolutely ridiculous. And if kids opt out of playing a bowl game in general, anyways, they should be fined, or these kids should automatically not have an invite to the NFL Combine. You should if you opt out of a bowl game, you opt out of your ability to go to the NFL Combine. In my opinion, you don't get to pick and choose when you want to show up and play football. That's my take. That's an old school take, I'm sure. It's an outdated take to some, but hey, if I'm a scout, if I'm saying who do I want on my football team, I want the guy who wants to play football. I want the kids who love football. I don't want the kids who love money. I don't want the money motivated people necessarily. Everyone's motivated by money to an extent. I want the people who want to play football because they are the ones who work harder. Those are the ones who are going to be good. They're not the ones who collect that first paycheck and buy a nice car, race it Georgia Bulldog football style, and crash it into something. They're not the ones, ending up like a Henry Ruggs or ending up how Rashee Rice did their shit. I want the kids who want to play football. And if you're opting out just because, I didn't get to go to the playoffs, fuck you. It's so stupid. So stupid. Notre Dame joining conference. Okay, let's get off of college football. So let's quickly do the headlines. And then I got 3 interesting things from the NFL this week. So headlines, every single week, we are naming 2 headlines here for the NFL week. So we can look back at the end. We're going to collect them. We're going to go over them. We remember 2 headlines from the offseason, like Mike Tomlin walked on a beach to recruit Aaron Rodgers. We remember the tie in week 4. We remember the spitter, Jalen Carter, in week 1. The liar, Jamar Chase, a couple of weeks ago. We remember Mark Sanchez getting stabbed. All great things to look back on. Seems like some are forever ago. This week, first headline, the AFC playoff teams are fully set. I think they can move up and down the rankings a little bit. I think they are completely fully set. Let me show you here the AFC playoff standings as of right now. So on the AFC side, we got the Broncos, Patriots, Jags, and Steelers as the conference champs or the division champs to make it in. Wild card is Bills, Chargers, Texans, and that's it. I think they can move up and down all around, whatever. I don't think they can move out. One team in the hunt with the same record as others in their division is the Indianapolis Colts. And the Indianapolis Colts lost their starter. The Indianapolis Colts potentially they did lose their first backup in Anthony Richardson. They lost their next backup potentially in whatever his name is. Kind of looks like Sam Darnold, that white guy. Can't remember his name right now. They might be on their 4th string quarterback this week, Rippin', and they're already a team on the decline. Sauce Gardner's already hurt. So the Colts, even though they're in the hunt, even though they are also 8-5, they're not making it. The Ravens, Lamar Jackson's a shell of his former self. Lots of leg injuries there. They have 0 pass rush. They paid Mark Andrews for some reason to play defense on an offensive play to swat the ball away from DeAndre Hopkins for the game-winning touchdown. In the way that Mark Andrews can do. And then the Chiefs, offensive line issues. They got defensive injuries. Not good. So I don't think any of those 3 teams there in the hunt listed 8 through 10, I don't think they have any shot to make the playoffs. So we'll see. Obviously, Chargers could drop to 8-5 tonight. Recording this before Monday Night Football. But I think the AFC teams are fully set. I think we all believe the AFC teams are fully set. And I think that is my headline number 1 for week 14 of the NFL season. And number 2, along that same vein, the Steelers rose from the dead this week. They beat the Ravens. They moved to number 1 in their division. Bengals and Ravens both lose. And on top of that, they got DK Metcalf playing gunner. They go and sign Adam Thielen and Marquez Valdes-Scantling to revamp the wide receiver core, so much so that Roman Wilson wasn't even active. The Steelers, I think, got a jolt of electricity into them, and I think they're all the way back. Mike Tomlin, people are saying, hey, maybe you should go coach college, a laughable statement, but now they can actually laugh about it because the team not only won, the team not only looked much better, the team very clearly stated even that they're playing for their coach. So the Steelers are all the way back. Mike Tomlin is all the way back. I'm sure this will not bite us at any point whatsoever. Steelers also notably have a winning record again. Mike Tomlin's never had a losing record. So those are the 2 headlines for this week. Now, if you guys got anything, definitely jump in the chat and let me know. But I got 3 interesting things from the NFL this week. 3 interesting things. Let's start. Where should we start? Let's start with this. And because we'll move back to the NFL standings there in a second. But I came across this story, which I hate. And I'm not a guy who gets into politics whatsoever. I'm still not going to get into politics whatsoever. But holy shit. Is it soccer or football? President Trump wants to rename the NFL. This could be potentially his worst PR move of all time. What the fuck is going on? Donald Trump says the United States should stop calling soccer by that name and start calling it football, meaning the National Football League might need a new name if it's open to the president's suggestion. What are we doing? What are we doing? So talking about the World Cup draw, which, by the way, favorable draw, we're going to run the table. We're going to take the sport. It's going to be ours. Sorry about it. Trump, talking about it, says, when you look at what happened to football in the United States, which is soccer in the United States, we seem to never call it football because we have a little bit of a conflict with another thing called football. Yeah, it's football. We took it over. We got it. We figured it out. The rest of the world knows what the number 1 sport is, and that is the NFL. That is football. The number 2 sport, college football. Yes, you look at numbers across the world, maybe soccer has more numbers overall if you combine them all, but guess what? We're not combining them all. It doesn't matter. NFL is by far king. It punches above its weight, and by the way, its weight is very heavy anyway. Like, we are not renaming the NFL. We're not getting rid of the name football. They can rename their shit. It does not matter. Could you imagine? Like, what does he want? I assume he wants it to be called American football. And if that's the case, then it would be the American Football League. Is that what we're trying to do? Why would we call our football American football? That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Like, that's so stupid. I don't call American Ford. It's just called Ford because that's ours. We don't put American above anything else. So that doesn't make sense whatsoever. They even said it right here. So outside the U.S., soccer is called football. Yes, obviously. And the term American football identifies to the other sport. There's no reason. There's no reason to rename football. And Trump just had this. We talked about it a few weeks ago. I mean, it was one of our headlines a few weeks ago. Trump went into the broadcasting booth. Love him or hate him, did an amazing job. He even predicted a play. He's extremely media trained. He did much better than the commentators in there. I'm sure, were a little bit scared and intimidated as well, but he did a damn good job. I think he won over a lot of football fans. I think he did a really good job. And then now he does a complete 180 and says he wants to take away the name football. That's the softest thing of all time. It's maybe second softest thing to Notre Dame saying, hey, I'm not going to play a bowl game because we didn't get what we wanted. So stupid. So this is an interesting thing. Number 1, what are we doing? We're not renaming football, by the way. You guys can rename whatever the fuck your sport is. And by the way, we're going to take it. You know what? When we win the World Cup in 2026, we'll rename it. We'll take it. We'll take it. We'll rename football for you guys. It'll be called soccer for everybody. If the United States is the World Cup champions, it is now known as soccer for everybody. I can promise you that. That's how it's going to be. Luke says it can be called international football. Not even. Nope, we're getting rid of football. Football is ours. If they want the NFL in Europe, by the way, they better call it football. They better accept it as football. We're not putting a team in London, in Germany, in any of these places unless they call it. And we shouldn't even go play games for them. If they want us to go and bring Aaron Rodgers and the Jaguars and everybody else over there to play international games, they have to ditch football. We're football now. You call our sport football. Luke's pitch for a headline. This iteration of the Chiefs are done. Keep Mahomes, Chris Jones, Andy Reid, get rid of everybody else. It does kind of seem that way. I do feel like I mean, they got a lot of really good young players, but especially on the offensive line, they're banged up right now. But like Simmons and Smith and all of that, they got good players. And I feel like Travis Kelce was hoping the Chiefs would go back to the Super Bowl and win, and he would ride off into the sunset, get a wedding, which they had to pay for the date for that venue because they're pretentious losers, and all of that, right? But with the way this ended, with the mistakes he made along the way, super costly mistakes, it feels like he's coming back. And by the way, he's playing at such a high level. I think he deserves to. But we're going to look at something with the NFL draft order in a little bit. And I mean, the Chiefs could do exactly what the 49ers did, right? 49ers had such a bad last season that they got a nice patty cake, easy schedule, earlier draft pick. If the Chiefs can do that, I mean, that's scary. That could be scary. Okay. Let's jump into the next little interesting thing. Let's just look at the NFL standings here. I have a couple of interesting things here. Let's start with one that I think Jake would have enjoyed a lot, and that is the NFC South, especially these two right here. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just lost to the Saints. I thought it would be a close game, but I assumed Tampa would have pulled it out. They could not. Coming off of their bye, they were banged up going into their bye. We thought they would be healthier, and coming back out of their bye, play well. They did not. They lose to the Saints, one of the worst teams in the NFL. And now they're tied atop the division with the Carolina Panthers. The Buccaneers have lost 4 of their last 5 games. The Panthers have beaten teams like the Packers. They've beaten teams like the Rams. They're winning big games, and they just had their bye this week. So they potentially could be healthier for a late season push. We could see the Carolina Panthers be the NFC South representatives, which would be incredibly interesting given the way the season started for Tampa. They were so hot. Baker Mayfield was an MVP candidate. Emeka Ibuka was like the leading candidate for Rookie of the Year. Bucky Irving was running wild. I mean, it was crazy. And then this week they couldn't stop the Saints. And Bucky Irving got baptized before the game and looked like God wasn't even on his side. Like there was so many things happening here. And now the Carolina Panthers, we'll see. We'll see. The other interesting thing, and this disgusts me after we were just talking about the Chiefs. So the Chiefs are now 6-7. They have a losing record. How crazy is it that the Kansas City Chiefs have the exact same record as the Miami Dolphins? After the way the season started for the Dolphins, everyone wanted them to go scorched earth. I still think they should. They were an embarrassingly bad football team. They had the respect of nobody. It was, they had the worst vibes of anybody in the league, I think, including the Jets. The Jets are a worse team, but the Dolphins, it's like, this could not get any worse. And then Tyreek Hill gets hurt and they get better. But regardless, they have the same record as the Chiefs. That is mind-blowing. It's so weird. Chiefs, by the way, a plus 63 point differential, 6-7. The Dolphins, minus 15 point differential, 6-7. The Chargers, 8-4, plus 25 point differential. Kind of crazy. Kind of crazy when you look at point differentials from some of these teams. I mean, the Bears are 9-4. And they have a negative point differential. Do you think they're the real deal yet? Do we think they're a really good football team? I don't know. I don't, but that's fine. I mean, you can look at the AFC North. Every single one of them has a negative point differential. I mean, it's interesting when you look at the standings here, but the biggest one for me, the Bucs and Panthers were a big one, but the Chiefs and Dolphins being on even playing ground is insane. And that is why we're going to look into the NFL draft order here. There are some really, really good football teams that are going to be getting really, really good draft picks. And that is why these teams that keep like maybe overachieving a little bit, the teams that keep finishing in the middle, they don't get any better. It's like what are the Colts supposed to do from here, guys? The Colts are fucked. They just spend a bunch of money to go all in. They lost their quarterback of the future. They're lucky that they didn't pay him a boatload of money beforehand that he deserved, by the way. Daniel Jones, for those who don't know, was playing with a broken leg, overcompensated with that broken leg towards Achilles. So now he was going to be paid what? Probably $30 to $40 million per year, probably closer to 40. Now they have no direction. Anthony Richardson, they don't want to go to him. Daniel Jones, what do you sign him for? And even when you do, you're not going to have him to start next year. Do you draft a guy? Okay, we're drafting a quarterback. We don't pick very high. We were 8-5 right now. So you can't say that they're in a good position whatsoever. Let's just get into this. Let's get into draft order in particular. That is essentially, we can look at playoff percentages as well. Let's do that, and then we'll look at the draft order because I do think that's the interesting part. Buccaneers, like I said, we're just talking about Buccaneers-Panthers. Buccaneers-Panthers are even in terms of record just because of schedule the rest of the way and stuff like that. Buccaneers have the 70% chance to make the playoffs. Panthers are at 31. Looking at the NFC West, it's crazy to see 3 teams above 90 there. NFC North, Packers with that win over the Bears go up to 95% chance to make the playoffs. The Bears go from 1 seed in the NFC to 7 seed, the very final playoff spot. They have a 70% chance to make the playoffs. Lions are at 39, holding on to hope. AFC Chiefs have a 14% chance. They still have a chance outside looking in. If we want to look at Chiefs playoff scenario here. So let's say the Eagles win tonight, which would mean Chargers lose. Chiefs playoff odds would go up to 17%. Not bad. They beat the Chargers next week. So that'd be back-to-back losses for the Chargers, who are currently in the playoffs. That would mean the Chiefs have a 29% chance. What other teams would they need to lose here? Let's just say, let's say the Cardinals pull off the unthinkable. Honestly, let's even take that away. Let's just see what happens if then week 16, obviously we got to say Chiefs win again as soon as I find them. So Chiefs beat the Titans. That seems very likely. Week 17, the Chiefs beat the Broncos. That would be a tough one. But hey, just with that, they're already at 51%, 50%. And then final week of the season, Chiefs beat the Raiders. Again, very likely. And that gives them damn near 2/3 chance to make the playoffs, 66% chance to make the playoffs. That's not too bad. Let's say Colts somehow win final week of the season. That hurts the Chiefs. Oh, because I guess the Colts are ahead of them, huh? Okay. Who would they need to lose out then? They would need the Chargers or the Bills. I guess they would like it if the Bills fell out. But let's find the Chargers. So let's say Texans beat the Chargers that week. So then it goes to 70%, and then Chargers in the final week of the season play the Broncos. Broncos could be fighting for a playoff spot. Chiefs are not dead. Uh-oh. This would be very Chiefs to go on a run and make the playoffs. I do think they're dead, but that is very interesting. So those are some interesting playoff scenarios there. But let's look at the NFL draft order if the NFL draft started today. So we have one thing I think I might start doing here, either on the Flurry Sports site or this channel, the tanking rankings. We got a bunch of teams here that need to be tanking for a good draft spot. And we have teams that just do not know how to do so. We got the Titans, who just won. They just beat the Browns. You felt good. Good for you. You go from first overall pick to third overall pick. You're not doing the tanking rankings correctly. The Saints had no reason to beat the Buccaneers. Why are you doing that? The Saints are now at number 5 with a win here. Giants and Vegas are doing it correctly. 7 losses in a row. Washington after making the playoffs last year, have lost 8 in a row. They are certainly preparing for a good season next year if they can repair some very obvious spots. And if Jaden Daniels can get healthy, stay healthy, play good football, they are good to go there. But this is what's interesting to me. So like I said, we got teams here that I think are further away from winning a Super Bowl than some of the teams here. And it's because you got to get worse to get better in this league. You can't just tread water over and over and over again and expect to get better, because it's a lot tougher to get better that way. We got the Bengals here. The Bengals just brought back Joe Burrow. I can't imagine he's going to sit. So Joe Burrow is going to continue to play games. He's probably going to win them some games. But if for some reason he doesn't, and the Bengals can fight their way back a little bit here, they're already number 10. If they could pick somehow number 8 or something like that, that is very interesting for the Bengals. The Vikings are very similar. The Vikings just won a game. J.J. McCarthy just looked much better after simplifying things. But if the Vikings can still pick in this area, the Vikings, if they figure out their quarterback and get consistent play from their quarterback, get a nice early draft pick here, they could go, they could rebuild quickly and contend for the NFC North next year. The Ravens, they're probably missing the playoffs. The Chiefs are probably missing the playoffs. 6-7. Dolphins are, for whatever reason, winning games here again, doing the tanking rankings incorrectly. They should be back here. This is where they should be right now if they want to contend next year. But right now we got the Chiefs and Ravens potentially passing them in the tanking rankings to pick earlier. If we can get a top 12 pick, if you're the Ravens, if you're the Chiefs, a top 10 pick, if you're one of those two teams, I mean, shit, you're going to be having an easier schedule next year because of how the schedule is made, where they're going to be playing either the third, maybe the fourth best, not for the Chiefs, but Ravens. I mean, potentially they could be playing the worst non-divisional games next year. They're going to be matched up with the fourth place teams potentially, which would be, never mind, the Browns are there. The third place teams, though, that would be incredible. So we got an interesting race here in between picks number 6 and 14. It'll be interesting to see where these teams go because if we get teams like the Bengals, the Vikings, the Ravens, the Chiefs fight their way up here, I think they could rebuild very quickly and be very good contenders. Another interesting thing to look at is the Rams currently own the Falcons draft pick. The Falcons are not playing well whatsoever, lost 2 games in a row here. If they continue to fall back, the Rams could potentially win a Super Bowl and have a top 8, top 5 draft pick, which is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Wouldn't that be interesting? So the Rams could win a Super Bowl. Matthew Stafford could win an MVP. Matthew Stafford could ride into the sunset and retire, and the Rams could draft their franchise quarterback. How interesting is that? The team that says fuck those picks could have a very, very valuable pick to set themselves up for the future. Interesting stuff happening here as teams start to shift their focus to the offseason, to the draft. They're preparing their vacation plans. They're not preparing for the playoffs. We can do the same looking at how these teams operate. There's going to be teams like the Jets, teams like the Saints who do want to win games just to establish that culture. But establishing that culture does come at a cost of potentially drafting a franchise-changing player. Now, if you're the Tennessee Titans, you say we're going to draft a generational talent, and you draft Cam Ward. So you still got to make a good decision once you draft up there as well. Chiefs have tiebreaker over the Colts, says Luke from back in the playoff spot. That's true. They have the tiebreaker there. They don't have the tiebreaker against teams like the Bills. Some interesting teams like that. So interesting to think that the Chiefs are somewhat not dead. I can't imagine they go on a run and run the table because of their schedule and because of the way their offensive line is playing. A bunch of people are banged up. But if there's a team that could do it, it would be them. And it would be, if they make the dance, if they make the playoffs, if the Chiefs are in the playoffs in wild card weekend, I mean, you're going to hear me say that you need to bet them. Like, if they make the playoffs, they will be one of the hottest teams in the NFL. And that would be incredible. That would be absolutely insane. I know they are like minus 1,500 or minus 1,200 to miss the playoffs. So it's all but certain according to the sports books, but you never know. You never know. We can do the song and dance of yes, the Chiefs can make it, but that requires playing good football. I agree. But I mean, they just played a good Texans team. If McDuffie doesn't get hurt and something like that, like they could have beat that team. We'll see. Let's take a look really quick. Let's take a look at what their schedule is. And like I said, they have a Broncos matchup, but they have a Titans matchup. I think they have another easier matchup like that. They have the Chargers next week, must win. I mean, they're all must wins, but that would be very big in terms of their playoffs. Then they go to the Titans, potentially an off week there. Then it looks like they got a Thursday night game on Christmas against, I'm not sure if that's Christmas. Yeah, it must be Christmas, or it must be Thursday rather. They got a Christmas game against the Broncos, and then they end the season with the Raiders. So if they can lock in and beat the Chargers, who are technically on a short week, they'll have one less day than the Chiefs. Interesting, because I mean, they're going to be favored pretty heavily over the Titans and the Raiders no matter what. And then the Broncos, it's home against the Broncos. You never know. Broncos have to travel on a short week on Christmas to play the Chiefs. That's not going to be easy. So if the Chiefs can win that game, man, we shall see. Win the divisional games. 2 non-divisional games are patty cake, man. Or actually, Raiders are divisional, rather. The 2 away games are patty cake. Very interesting. Very interesting. We'll see what happens. I will say the Colts are dead, so they don't have to worry about them. Luke says losses the Chargers in Denver. Sauce starting week 18. Gardner, not Sauce Gardner. Gardner Minshew starting week 18. Potentially. However, I think, I don't know. I don't think they can lose to the Chargers. Unless the Chargers, if the Chargers win tonight, they lose to the Chargers next week and they fully tank in order to rebuild quickly. If the Chargers lose tonight, I think the Chiefs are able to beat them and potentially go on a run here. Because I do not believe in the Chargers whatsoever. Not a little bit. Their offensive line is too beat up. Their defense is too inconsistent, especially if teams want to play physical big boy football with them, which we could see tonight, obviously, facing off against the Eagles, not the Eagles of old, not the power running team of the Eagles, but the Eagles could very much get their power running game going against the Chargers tonight, I think. I hope so. But this was the Flurry Sports Podcast with just me. Shorter episode. We got 2 headlines in. We got a nice rant against Notre Dame in. We broke down the college football playoff. We are shocked and appalled that the president of the United States wants to change the sport of football to be called something else. And we talked about the playoff race here. All in a hard day's work. Thanks for joining. Like and subscribe. If you want to listen to the audio-only podcast, we are everywhere. So Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever. Appreciate you doing that. But like I said, every Monday night we are live here as well. You can go to the Flurry Sports YouTube channel, click the live tab, and always find this podcast here. Usually a lot more goofs and gaffes and spoofs and stuff like that, which we will do, again, starting next week when Jake returns. We will see you very, very soon. Thanks for hanging out. Goodbye.